Thank you for watching and listening to another live edition of the East West Football Podcast. I am Fidel Barraza. Alongside with me, like always, Jerry Martinez. How's it going, Jerry?
Woo, man, it's Saturday, man. Just enjoying the weekend. Man, just getting a little anxious here, man. Waiting for football season to start. I mean, it's been kind of unique, right? Trying to watch basketball, is a sport that I'm not too familiar with, but as of late, I've been kind of cheering on the Suns. I know they lost recently, but it's kind of one of those nostalgic kind of things, right? Like, I mean, an old school team that came short of winning a championship. But anyways, getting ready for the football season for sure. Number one.
Yeah, and then well, the Suns and the Clippers actually have a game tonight, so we'll see what happens. Blown out last time by the Clippers
Pretty
against the
crazy.
Suns, so we'll see. All right, so continuing our coverage on off-season moves, we're going to move on to the NFC East, and let's start talking about the New York Giants. So they re-signed Leonard Williams to a three-year contract. They signed a highly coveted wide receiver from the Detroit Lions, Kenny Galladay, and also signed a quarterback from the Tennessee Titans, Adoree Jackson, and also tight end Kyle Rudolph from the Minnesota Vikings. Jerry, what did you think of their offseason moves?
Man, I mean, it's just one of those things. I think that right now, I think overall the Giants they have an old school general manager in place who still understands the fundamentals, right, as far as building a team. I think that re-signing Leonard Williams, because I mean they did give up a lot of draft capital to get him, so it was very important for them to keep him and not lose him in the offseason. For them to do that, and then come around the draft, they actually, it was the first time in Dave Gettleman's history that he ever traded back, which
Yeah.
was unique. And they got paid pretty well. I think next year they have a first round pick, and they were able to move back a couple spots. They were actually able to add, right, Kadarius Tony, Azil Ujulari, the stud outside linebacker for Georgia Bulldogs. So I think overall this team is still they're still in a process as far as building it up, but it looks like the Giants are definitely focusing on adding all the right key pieces as far as to help Daniel Jones succeed. And that's the big thing right now. I mean, we have Daniel Jones, and I mean we got fans already putting him on the hot seat. So it's a very unique situation with the Giants entering the 2021 season. Have they done enough? I think that they've added some key pieces in some key places, but it's all going to ride on Saquon's health. If he can stay healthy for a whole season, I mean, we've all seen Saquon. I mean, Saquon looks like an Adrian Peterson out there. I mean, he looks like he could be a historical running back if he could stay healthy. And if he could stay healthy, that'll take a lot of pressure off of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, like you said, would have Galladay, Rudolph, Kadarius Tony, not to mention other wide receivers still in place, Darius Slayton,
Yeah.
and then they did help out the offensive line the year before. So I mean, overall, we're talking about a very young team, and you still got a coaching staff that's trying to gel and come together with Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. So the Giants overall, I think their moves were good. I don't think that they're impactful though, and I still see that the Giants. I foresee them. Man, I kind of foresee them finishing last in the NFC East division. In fact, I could give them a record of maybe 5-12. I could see them with a 5-12 record.
Yeah, I mean, question number one is going to be health for this team. Obviously, they struggled with that last year, even with Daniel Jones, too. He had a thumb injury.
For sure.
Saquon coming back off that torn ACL. But is Daniel Jones the franchise quarterback for the New York Giants? That's the biggest question, right? Going into year two of Joe Judge being the head coach there. We'll see. And then also Evan Ingram. He had a lot of drops last year.
He
So
did. He did.
hence that they signed Kyle Rudolph, tight end from the Minnesota Vikings. So to me, it's kind of like we got to see some more from Evan Ingram as well.
No, yes. I mean, I think that it's been every year people calling him out, even on fantasy football. I mean, people have been, asking him to give them a good season, man, please, right? And if it's not drops, it's health with him as well. But yes, is Daniel Jones? I think that that's a great question. Is Daniel Jones a franchise quarterback? And man, I mean, he has all the intangibles as far as size, height, and athleticism. Even though we saw him what was it? Break a 70 yarder and
Ye-
at the end trip
Yeah,
up.
he tripped up. I guess over a ghost or something, and
Of the what did they say? It's the black cat.
yeah, it was a Monday Night Football game, right?
Yeah, so it's the
Yeah,
black the so I mean it's just one of those things, man. I think that oh man, we could see the athleticism, especially with that run that he pulled off. He almost had the touchdown, but you know, getting back to it, the Giants are still maybe a season, maybe 2 seasons out from actually being contention, and I could be completely wrong because things could just flip. I mean, at any moment it could just
yeah.
flip. I mean, Saquon could just go berserk, put up 1,200 yards rushing. That helps Daniel Jones get into a flow of things. Help Kenny Galladay just become a. We've seen what he could do, and maybe even allow Tony and Darius Slayton and Kyle Rudolph to get going. I mean, things have changed, but right now, from what I see, I don't really see that. I mean, we still need a little bit more from Joe Judge. We still need to see is he trying to establish his identity or that Bill Parcells identity?
Well, let me ask you something. Since we're talking about the New York Giants, do you feel like Daniel Jones is their franchise quarterback?
Oof, man, that's thank you for putting me on the spot on
You're
that.
welcome.
Look, I like what I see in Daniel Jones. However, I do not see him as a franchise quarterback, and
But-
that's just my cup of
yeah,
tea. That's my cup of tea. I'm sorry. I think with Daniel Jones, I think that sometimes when you look at him, especially on film, it's like how can you not hear the edge rushers that are right there? And the thing is that he holds the ball
way too long.
way too long. He takes unnecessary hits. I mean, he's gonna get himself hurt out there. So I think that with a franchise quarterback, you want somebody that can play to his strengths and work on the things that he cannot work on. Be quiet about it, right? Don't tell anybody
Yeah.
that you're doing it. Just work on it, man. Just get in the gym, do your workouts. Hey, after the gym, go work out with your wide receivers, get better with your timing, get down with your anticipation, and get down with your coach, work with your coach. And I think that you can actually work your way and become a franchise quarterback. Look at Tom Brady. People said he was the most uh he wasn't even a draftable quarterback. The Patriots drafted him what six in the sixth round.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He just studied his game. He perfected his game. He became a great quarterback, and now he is what the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe the GOAT.
Yeah. He's only a seven-time Super Bowl champion, so I mean, not much, right?
Enough said.
Yeah.
Enough said. I mean, along with the Super Bowl MVP and league
Yeah. All
MVP.
that other kind of stuff, record breaking quarterback, all that
Yeah,
stuff. So,
yeah. So,
all
so I
right.
mean, Daniel Jones can do that. He could had that same effect. I mean, he's a first rounder.
Yeah.
It's expected, but to me, I just think that man, Daniel Jones, New York is a tough crowd, man. You got to have a chip on your shoulder to be a quarterback in that
It,
in that city.
and I think that Dave Gettleman's like, if he's gonna get fired or extended, he's gonna have to do a lot with Daniel Jones. That's his quarterback he drafted, and he's gonna go down
Yeah,
with him.
it was man. That's his quarterback, man.
All right, let's go and move along to the Washington football team. So there is a new sheriff in town at quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick signed with the Washington football team this offseason. Also, the Washington football team signed cornerback William Jackson III, wide receiver Curtis Samuel, and wide receiver Adam Humphries. Jerry, what do you think of their offseason moves?
And this is outstanding moves. I mean, last year that defense was. I mean, it's still young defense, but dang, with Chase Young, that defense came to life. And at the end, they started. I mean, even though with the quarterback carousel they had last year, that thing was crazy, man. Kyle
Yeah,
Allen, what was it? Kyle Allen, and then
Alex Smith, Dwayne
Dwayne
Haskins, and
Haskins,
then he got
Alex
cut. Yeah,
Alex Smith, and then Tyler Heineke, right? Or
yeah,
I said it right.
yeah.
But anyways, so I mean, even as with all of that, they still managed to get into the playoffs, which is amazing. I think that defense is legit. It's a legit defense. You know, potential of having that top five, maybe even top two kind of edge, especially with the additions what they had on this off season.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you bring in Ryan Fitzmagic, right? Because we know
It's
that.
so it's either Fitz magic or Fitz tragic. So it's one of the two. We just don't know
Yeah,
which one.
yeah, and look, okay, so look, if anything, they've solidified the quarterback position. You got Ryan, who was with the Dolphins last year. Um, man, Ryan is Ryan, man. Like you said, he sometimes he can put up some gaudy numbers and get you some crazy wins. But when he goes cold, man, he goes cold, and that's the thing that that's the only thing that what right now is keeping the Redskins from being the favorite in the NFC East. But overall, this team looks scary, especially if they're able to get a franchise type quarterback for the future. I think that this team right here is a team to reckon with, right? Because I mean, let's look at it. I mean, I think the Cowboys have what, 5 championships. You have the Giants have 4 championships, and the Redskins have 3, and the Eagles have 1. I believe that's how it
Yeah.
goes. So this would be a great, interesting storyline for the future. It would have been amazing to see them do something similar to what the Chicago Bears did. As far as moving up, putting some draft assets to go and get themselves a Justin Fields. I mean, can you imagine a Justin Fields with that defense, man? I'll tell you this, man. They have a great running back in Antonio Gibson. Well, he looks like he has the potential of being becoming a great running back.
Yeah.
And then you got Scary Terry McLaurin, right, out of Ohio State. That young man looks like I mean, he looks like a legit superstar wide receiver. And then you add Curtis Samuel aside from him. Literally, Ryan Fitzpatrick has all the tools there. So, I mean, if anything, if we want to see the Washington football team, be the actual leaders of the East, on this one, it's gonna ride all on Ryan Fitzpatrick's arm and mine
Yeah, and then well, last year, look, this team had a lot of distractions from the name change to Dwayne Haskins, so
a
who's going to
lot.
play quarterback? Ron Rivera dealing with cancer. There's a lot going on, especially
Oh yeah.
with Dan Snyder being, there just a lot of things going on. So
Oh
I
yeah.
think this year, I mean, I think Ron Rivera did an excellent job coaching this team last
I,
year.
you know what? I have to agree with you there. I mean, it was a great season overall, 2020 for them. Ron Rivera obviously understood. Hey, man, the strength of the defense is this. We're gonna move in this direction, and they've been slowly building this team. I believe they selected a a linebacker in the first round, Jamin Davis out of I believe he's out of Kentucky. I mean, they just continue to add key pieces, and they didn't put up with anybody's BS and
Yeah,
the last year. So this is truly Ron Rivera and what is it, Marty team.
yeah.
So this team right now, they have the potential of being the NFC East champs right now and for the future. The way the team is built.
Yeah, I mean, look, an off season with no distractions. It looks like this year, it can do the team a lot of well. So we'll see what ends up happening with the Washington football team. I almost said Redskins. They're not the Redskins anymore. The Washington football team. All right, moving along to the Philadelphia Eagles, the most dramatic team in this division, especially this offseason. So we all know the quarterback situation of Carson Wentz being traded to the Indianapolis Colts. So it looks like this is Jalen Hurts' team moving forward. We saw them get rid of Doug Peterson, which is a surprising move, and hire Nick Sirianni, the former offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. Jerry, what did you think of their offseason moves?
I mean, overall, the Eagles are in a tough situation right now. I think that they have all the right players. They have the right players in place. I think they're gonna get an offensive line that's fully healthy, right? I mean, from the offensive guard, Brandon Brooks, to their offensive tackle and
This team is
whatnot.
never healthy, Jerry.
Yeah,
Health has
Lane,
been one of the biggest
Andrew.
question marks.
They're gonna get Dillard, Lane Johnson back. Uh, you put that with Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts, even though he was running for his life in a lot of plays last year, man, he looked like the game was not too big for him, and that's what you want to see in a quarterback. And I mean, we weren't expecting to see him start so early. We weren't expecting to see him start. Period.
Yeah,
Right? He looked like a projection. A guy that you're gonna bring him in and slowly. But man, I guess the writing was on the wall. They were done with Carson Wentz and the head coach too. So this is the Eagles right now, even with all their offseason moves, I think that they're great offseason moves. They were able to go up there. They even traded with the in division rivals with the Cowboys, right? And they're able to
yeah.
get the Devontae Smith, the Heisman winning wide receiver, who everybody wants to knock him because I think he weighs
Size.
I think he weighs what 175,
Like
60,
160 pounds, 165.
whatever,
He doesn't weigh a lot.
whatever the weight is, right?
Yeah,
But he's clearly over 6 feet tall, but it's his weight. It's the issue. But I'll tell you this much right now: you add him with Jalen Rager, which is last year's wide receiver
yeah,
that they selected in the first round, that, and then you bring back that offensive line, and then you still have your two tight ends, even though one of them you don't know what you're going to do with right now,
yeah,
but still you got Dallas Goddard, right,
yeah,
at tight end. This offense still has the potential to put up a good fight week in and week out. Now, the only uphill battle that I was talking about or referring to here is Nick Sirianni. I'm sorry. Now, it looks like what the Eagles, and I've mentioned this in the past, are trying to do here is they like what the Colts did as far as offense and defensively,
yeah,
and that's why they brought in Nick Sirianni, and they brought in, I believe, the they brought in one of the defense staff members from the Colts, and I feel like they're trying to replicate what they
yeah,
have with the Colts coaching staff now. So this is kind of like where it becomes an uphill battle because now you're gonna have to turn around, change some terminology around. I mean, a lot of it's not too far off. Nick Sirianni, look, I don't know how I mean, we read about it, right? That he
yeah.
had a great relationship with the quarterback and all that, but I don't know how many actual calls I mean, how many offensive play calls he called because
Frank Wright, and we know this that he was the one that was calling the plays in with Philip
exactly.
Rivers.
So in this case, I mean, we're seeing, and let's go back to the basketball reference real quick, and let's go back. Right, I'm so enamored with the Suns. I'm sorry. Um,
They're a fun team to watch,
it's a fun team to watch, but
even though
let's
they beat my Lakers. All good.
sorry about that. But let's go back to that play. It was a crazy play. It was 2 games ago, and they won. That
The
that
alley
was
oop.
the alley oop. If you hear the coach, he told Jamison Crowder to pitch the ball in, and he's telling I forget the name of the player that actually dunked it. He tells him
Andre
just
Ayton. Yeah,
he just told him just dunk the ball.
yeah,
He literally you can go back and watch the coach telling this to the team. So it just goes hand in hand. Let's go back to bring it back on subject, right? If you have your if you have the right, player personnel, and
yeah.
you have the right coaching staff, you there's the I mean literally you can literally win a championship in the NFL. So the Eagles are in a tough situation. It's kind of hard to see them. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I feel that they're gonna win third place in this division. They're gonna have a record of 8-9, which is pretty good. Um, I just feel that right now that's just one of those things where Eagle fans are gonna have to be patient and kind of and trust the process that the Howie Roseman has in place with Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we knew Carson Wentz was going to be traded. We knew he wasn't going to stay with the Eagles, but we were surprised though that they did fire Doug Peterson
That was
after only
huge.
winning the Super Bowl 2 years ago, right?
It was huge. That was
Yes.
huge.
And then, I mean, let's be honest, who was thinking Nick Sirianni was going to get this job?
It's insane.
Nobody.
I mean, I don't even think he was mentioned,
No, he
right?
wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, and it was a surprise. I mean, the way I think it was like a Tuesday they hired him, and we're like, who's this
Who's Nick
guy?
Sirianni?
Yeah,
No
that's it.
disrespect,
No,
Nick
there was.
Sirianni, if you're listening to the podcast, but we just didn't know who you were.
I mean, we all asked that. It was like a Tuesday, I believe. I still remember the day. It was like, wow, that was fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You would have thought that there were the ties with Andy Reid and Bellamy. Maybe Bellamy would have
yeah.
had the opportunity to take over the lead, but no, we're gonna have to wait another year for Eric Bellamy, for
Eric
Bieniemy,
Bieniemy. Yep.
Eric Bieniemy to become a head coach in the NFL. But yeah, man, I mean the Eagles are one of those teams.
Yeah,
That's why I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I still think that they can actually, come away with some crazy
yeah.
wins. I mean they still have some key pieces on defense and on offense. They just got to get the coaching staff and the players on the same boat to be actual a force in the NFC East.
Yeah, and they added some depth too at the running back position with on Johnson coming over from the Detroit Lions. Look, Jalen Rieger, he was hurt most of the year last year, so I mean, you could say that this year they have two,
Rookies.
first, yeah, two rookies, starting. So we'll see. I mean, with the Eagles, I mean, a lot of questions. Is Jalen Hurts going to be the quarterback of the future moving forward? I did forget to mention they signed Joe Flacco, former Super Bowl champion. I mean, I don't think he's going to push him for the job,
Yeah.
but you never know. We've seen crazier things. So, with that,
It's kind of hard
yeah,
to say that Jalen Hurts is the actual quarterback of the, excuse me, of the future, right? Because the thing is once they found out that the Jets are going to select Zach Wilson, they traded back with the Dolphins. So
yeah, and that's important to note too is that they
that's very
wanted to
exposing.
draft. Yeah, they wanted to draft Wilson. So interesting is to see how the Eagles do this year. One of the most interesting teams in this division. But look, this division is crazy. We've seen not a
Uh,
consistent winner these last couple of years either. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
and last but not least, let's go and talk about I guess you can call them America's team, Dallas
America's
Cowboys.
America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, right? Every year is the Dallas Cowboys year to win the championship. And you know what? Why stop it now? 2021 is a year for the Cowboys to win the championship.
Yes. All right. And so we saw Dak Prescott obviously had that horrible injury,
That was
but
terrible.
he got a new contract,
He
so he
did.
doesn't
He
have to
did.
worry about contract anymore. Um, they changed up the defensive coordinator. They got rid of Nolan. They brought in the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and
Dan
why is his
Quinn.
name escaping me?
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. I'm sorry, I forget his name. I just know he blew a lead in the Super Bowl. That's all I remember
It's
at
all
this
good.
point. They brought in a couple of safeties actually from the Falcons as well, and
They did.
Keanu Neal, and then also it was Demonte
Kazee.
Kazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kazee.
So, well, look, you're the Cowboys fan, Jerry. So, what'd you think of their offseason moves? I'll let you take over this one.
Oh man. Man, look, I'll tell you this one right now. I love the fact that they paid Dak. I think that he is well deserved of this contract. I think, you know, he never made a contract an issue. Even though the offseason he stayed firm, right? But I mean, it's just one of those things, and he banked on himself, and for him to have that gruesome injury, but still be a fighter in the off season and be able to put through it. I mean, we've been seeing some tape of him being able to make some, you know, the throws that he was making last season, just driving off of that foot. I mean, it looks healthy, it looks great. I mean, aside from let's revisit 2020 real quick. Where aside from the offensive struggles, right, that in 2020, the defense had its struggles, especially on the rush defense. That I mean, they couldn't stop a running. They couldn't stop the ball, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're I think the number was like they were allowing like 160 yards per game. So that you never want to see that, especially on defense. And I think that after that injury, I mean, I don't want to give it any excuses, but you can kind of see the morale was
Well,
the
yeah,
morale
it's
down.
tough.
It was, and then they bounced around also with some quarterbacks that I mean people thought Andy Dalton would have been a great. I mean he was serviceable, but
Yeah.
we looked at it. I mean they had some struggles with Danucci and Gilbert.
It's all Gucci with the Nucci. That was the same, right? That was out there for
Yeah,
like about a week.
yeah, no, it wasn't.
It was not
But
Gucci with them.
so like I said, the Cowboys this offseason, I mean, they took care of business. They signed Dak long term relief. It's a big relief for all the Cowboy fans out there. Uh, when we look at it, they made the trade on the draft night. They went down from 10 to 12. They selected Micah Parsons, the stud linebacker out of Penn State, who actually sat out due to the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So a lot of people did not get to see him play. So a lot of the tape that we're going off of was the 2019 season. And I'll tell you this, I mean, Michael Parsons has an edge and an attitude to his game, and he has a swagger that the Cowboys have not had. And yeah, I think that Jerry Jones kind of said, you know what, I'm tired of this. This defense is kind of soft, and let's bring in some guys that are tough and fast and can, they see ball, get ball, and destroy the ball, right? And I think that that's exactly what they're getting in Michael Parsons, and I think that um, from what I've been seeing, from what I have been seeing all over, I mean, Dak looks good. Dak looks great.
Yeah.
Zeke looks like he's in great shape this offseason. Man, this offseason, if this offense can stay healthy, because they're getting back both offensive tackles, um, including Zach Martin, all healthy. Then you're getting back Zeke, who looks phenomenal. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen the videos of Zeke?
Yeah, and obviously last year we all know that he had issues holding on to the ball, which I believe that was one of his main focuses this offseason was to cut some weight and then make sure he doesn't fumble the ball. So
I just love the energy, because if you kind of follow the energy, I mean, it all started with Dak. I mean, Dak is kind of like that. Dak kind of like, it looks like Dak kind of like sat down and talked to everybody like, "Hey man, we're all getting older. I don't think we can be playing games anymore. Let's get focused in, right?" And it's cool because look at this little bit of a ripple effect. Now going back to what we were saying, the defense kind of especially the rush defense was the actual like the blood. It was the cut that they could not stitch up. They couldn't stop the bleeding. Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch dealing with the neck
yeah,
injury. Jalen Smith just being in the wrong situation, in the wrong gaps. I mean, it was just a mess with the defensive coordinator. It was just wow. It was just insane. But it looks like Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and Will McClay just had enough with it and just said, you know what? We need some attitude. Let's get Michael Parsons. They drafted Michael Parsons. They got Kelvin Joseph, who a lot of people said he has a bunch of red flags, but you know what? He's a cornerback with attitude that has all the intangibles to be an actual a starting caliber,
yeah,
a a starting caliber that can lock down your number one and number two wide receiver. And then later on, they got Jabril Cox, another linebacker.
yeah,
So when I look at it, it looks like the Cowboys put Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith on notice, man. I think that if anything, right now, if Dan Quinn, and which I've been seeing, Dan Quinn is out there. I mean, literally lining up with the defense and showing technique, actually coaching. From what I've been hearing, is they've actually been bringing in uh, the rookies after the veterans leave, and they allow the rookies to ask questions about gap assignments, about just
yeah,
the simplifying it for these rookies. So overall, it's not so much about it's our year to win. It's overall, it's about a team finally coming together, and saying, like, you know what, let's start listening to our coaches, and let's get these championship. And I feel that right now, with all these pieces they have added, they had a great offseason. I feel that the Cowboys are right now, they're the favorite to win the NFC East. I mean, I have them first in the division with a record of 12-5. Of course, a lot of this has to stay healthy. We saw what happened with no Dak last year.
yeah. And then talking about the no Dak last year, I think the Cowboys were taught a lesson of
They
how
did.
important Dak was to the team. So moving forward, obviously injuries are a big part of it. If they can stay healthy, I can see them for sure winning this division.
Man, a lot of people saw how important Dak was, even the Dak haters, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean, even with even with the actual, even with Cowboy fans, you still have diehard Cowboy fans. You have people that just don't like Dak as a quarterback, but they appreciate him now.
all right, so we got a question from YouTube from Christy Marie. Thank you so much for chiming in. Hi, guys. How do you see the NFC West shaking out? We actually talked about the NFC West a couple
We did.
podcast episodes ago. Just kind of recapping. Well, look, obviously, the to me, Jerry, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I think the Rams are the heavy favorites just with the move of acquiring Matthew Stafford. They did sign Deshaun Jackson. I don't know how the Rams keep on getting draft picks that they can just trade away, but they find a way to do so. So I mean, to me, their defense is stacked. Offense is looking well. Cam Akers, had his coming out party last year. To me, I think the Rams are the favorite to win that division.
Yeah, and I believe I had the Rams number one. I had the Rams number one, and I had the Seahawks number two, and the Cardinals. I actually had the Cardinals finishing last because I feel that the 49ers are getting their entire team healthy. And man, I mean, they added some firepower in the offseason. And yeah, if Jimmy G's not ready to go, they got a young stud quarterback in Trey Lance who looks like the future. I've seen him zip the ball around this in these mini camps, and I like what I'm seeing. It looks like he's just going to continue to grow. I think that for the future, the 49ers are going to run the West. And yeah, man, the 49ers have that potential to be in Super Bowl contention year in, year out from this year going forward. But right now, I still have the Rams and the Seahawks right there, 1A, 1B. So Rams 1A, Seahawks 1B, 49ers are in 2A, and the Cardinals are 2B. So it's a very
Yeah.
tough division, but it's one of the more fun ones to watch in the NFL.
Yeah, and to me, it's probably the most competitive division in
It
pro
is.
football. I mean, look, with the Niners, obviously we know Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starting quarterback. Them drafting Trey Lance, a lot of people were surprised. Even our friend Matt Miyoko, I mean, he was kind of saying, "Hey, I think Justin Fields should be the guy,"
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, and there was a lot of rumors. Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft Mac Jones. Scouting department and general manager John Lynch wanted to draft Trey Lance. Obviously, that ended up happening. So this team looks like they're getting loaded. They're trying to get this team ready for Trey Lance. So it's either going to be sooner or later. It all depends on Jimmy G. Can he stay healthy? Can he not turn the ball over? Can he pass the ball to his wide receivers when they're open? I don't know, a lot of it. And then also with the Arizona Cardinals, look, this is one of the teams that was most active during free agency. And we'll see. I mean, they got J.J. Watt. They signed A.J. Green. We'll see if he has anything left in the gas tank. Look, Kyler Murray towards the end of the year, he was kind of going down, I guess you can say, performance wise. I know he was dealing with an injury, but you cannot lose to the third string quarterback in a game. You have to win to make the playoffs. So, and we know what the Seattle Seahawks are. That's Russell Wilson's team, but they're not helping him at all. So, and then Jamal Adams, he's going to sit out. He's not going to go to training camp until he gets a new contract. You waste a lot of draft picks. You waste a lot of money. So, I mean, we don't know.
I say this right now. The West probably has the best quarterbacks right now in the NFL. I mean, I wanna give credit where credit is due, right? I mean, you're talking about and I understand Trey Lance still hasn't played a down in the NFL,
Yeah.
but I mean, look at it: Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, and Kyler Murray. Those guys can win you a game, and we saw Kyler Murray pull a game out of nowhere, right, with that
Yeah.
miraculous catch to DeAndre Hopkins. So they have the pieces in place. I just feel that they're still meshing, and the Cardinals. I'm saying
Yeah.
they're still meshing with the actual coaching staff and the player personnel. So it's gonna be it's still gonna be interesting. Like I said, I do see the Cardinals finishing last in that division, and the 49ers are gonna be putting up a fight all the way all season long. And Rams and Seahawks, watch out.
Yeah. And then look, staying with the NFC West, a couple things I want to point out. So Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, this is a huge year for him.
It
I
is.
think if they do not make the playoffs, he's going to be out of a job and they're going to bring in someone else. Also, the other thing, Sean McVay and the offense of the Rams, I don't think he's been able to fully open the playbook to what he likes to do just because he was kind of limited with Jared Goff's arm. Now he's got a quarterback that can really, throw the ball downfield. I think we're going to see a whole new offense from the Rams. So that's why I like them to win the division.
It's true. I
All
totally
right.
agree.
Yes, but let's go ahead and go back real quick to the NFC East and let's recap your divisional winners. Let's start off actually with your last team, and then go up to first.
Yeah, right now I'm gonna have to give the even though this is a toss up right here, I'm gonna go ahead and say Giants in this case because a lot of it has to fall on the Giants are gonna finish last in the actual NFC East division. I can kind of see them like I said earlier, with a record of 5-12. A lot of it has to ride on Saquon Barkley. He's gonna have to carry the load of he's gonna have to carry the load of the offense and defense. You know what I mean? Because if you can keep your defense, what's the one way you can keep your defense off of the field?
Got to run the ball.
Got to run the ball. So, and what's one way to help from defense teeing off on your quarterback?
Got to run the ball.
Got to run the ball. So, you know, uh, I'm not saying that the Giants completely stink. They have some nice pieces. I think for the future, it's going to be interesting to see the Giants what they can do. But right now, they're last in the East, and then finishing third, I have the Eagles. Eagles again, another interesting situation. But we're talking about a new coaching staff that needs to get their team up to speed. They have all the pieces in place to be a competitive team, especially if we take 2020 season into consideration. I think it was a toss up. Almost what all three teams were in some way, some
Yeah,
fashion, were able to pull away with the East. But I think that now with you know 2020 behind us and COVID, the COVID protocols getting behind us. I think full off seasons and whatnot. I think a lot of these players are able to get their feet underneath them and ready for the season. But still, the Eagles, they like I said, they just need that coaching staff to gel with that with with the players they have.
yeah.
So I can still see them putting up a fight. I see them with a record of about 8-9. I want to say. And watch out, Devontae Smith's gonna have a monster year. He's gonna have that Justin Jefferson effect. Even with
Rookie of the year.
I'm calling it rookie of the year, even at 165 pounds.
All right, June 26, 2021. Jerry says Devontae Smith will be rookie of the year.
Hey, and pick him up on your fantasy football teams, man. I'll tell you right now, he's gonna make it look good, and it's gonna take him like 2 3 weeks, but don't just hold him on your roster. Trust me. Washington football team, man. I think that right, a lot of it is riding on the actual on the shoulders and the throwing arm of Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is a very scary situation sometimes, right? Because what did you say, Ryan Fitz magic or
Fitz
Fitz?
magic or Fitz tragic, either
So
one. But you're gonna get one of them.
I like it. You're talking about a gritty, one of the grittiest quarterbacks that we've ever seen play in the NFL of recent, right? And I mean, this guy will go out there and get you. He'll mess around, throw 350 yards passing and three
Yeah,
touchdowns, right? And maybe a pick or two. And then sometimes he'll throw 500 yards and five picks. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's just one of those things that when he's hot, and when he's cold, he's really cold. So, I mean, I know that we all like cold pizza from time to time, but
It's all right.
when you're when you're talking about when you're talking about you know uh, playing in the NFL, you gotta be on point. The last person that you want making the mistake on your team is your quarterback, and I feel that even with that being said, even with that tough defense, I can foresee the Washington football team being the one that can actually be pushing the number one team now, and I do see Washington football team, uh, you know, if not 9-8, maybe a little bit better than that. But let's talk about the number one team. I have the Dallas Cowboys, man. I'm not saying Super Bowl this year.
No, you're too late. You already did in the beginning of
well,
the show.
okay. Well, let me rephrase that. So we're getting like I said, if this defensive coordinator can get the defense on par to the play calls that he's going to have them and put them in place to succeed, and the offensive line can stay healthy and Zeke can get going and Dak, wow, man. I mean, the sky is the limit. I mean, not only are we talking about NFC East champions, we're talking about real contenders in the playoffs. And that's where it may end, right? Because this is a team that has very limited time in the playoffs, so they don't understand the energy. But if they can go on a run and just continue that run, they could be a strong team in the playoffs this season. I see it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Last year I didn't see it. I didn't see it personally. I just didn't see it. The year before that I didn't see it either. But this year it just feels a little different.
so I got the Eagles being last.
Okay.
Just because new coach Jalen Hurts. I mean, we just don't know, right? There's a lot of things that could happen. New York Giants being third. I do see Daniel Jones taking a step ahead, I guess you could say, in that offense. Uh, the second team, look, I'm gonna say the Washington football team, but I think they might end up winning the division. I'm gonna go ahead and make a prediction. Chase
Agreed.
Young will win Defensive Player of the Year this year coming up. And look, the Cowboys should win this division, but we've said this multiple times over the last couple of years. So will they or will they not? I mean, it all depends on health and also Dak's play. How's going to come off? Coming off the injury, how's he going to play? They have a tough Week 1 matchup against that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, but if they stay healthy, they should win the division.
I'm so stressed out about that game because it's like if they win that, Cowboys Nation is gonna go crazy, man. That's a Super Bowl win for the Cowboy Nation. You know what I mean? And I just hope that the players, if they do, come away with that dub, I truly hope they're able to get refocused and get back on track, right, and get back to week two, right. That's just gonna be a nutso game.
Yeah. All right, Jerry. Before we end this episode, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just looking forward to getting. Well, first I want to say thank you for tuning in, right?
Yeah.
But looking forward to talking the AFC, getting to the AFC a little bit. I think that there's a lot of great teams out there that I know I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for. So let's get back to work. See you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, so Christian Marie, thank you so much for chiming in, and of course, if you guys have any questions, any comments, go ahead and leave them there on the comment section. We'll go ahead and read them out loud, answer your questions. Thank you everyone out there listening and watching. Moving on, we're gonna move on to the AFC conference, and we're gonna start off with the AFC West. So catch us next Saturday as we'll keep on reviewing these divisional moves. It's almost football season, people. Get excited. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching.